Okay, we will call this regular council meeting to order for March the 24th. It's 3 p.m. and I'll ask Councillor Dunham to please read the land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. The town of Innisfail acknowledges that we are meeting on Treaty 7 territory, the ancestral and traditional territory of the Blackfoot Confederacy, Kainai, Piikani, Siksika, as well as the Tsuut'ina First Nation and Stoney Nakoda First Nation. We acknowledge that this territory is home to the Métis Nation of Alberta Region 3 within the historical Northwest Métis homeland. We acknowledge the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit who have lived in and cared for these lands for generations. We're grateful for the traditional knowledge keepers and elders who are still with us today and those who have gone before us. We make this acknowledgement as an act of reconciliation and gratitude to those whose territory we reside on.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Dunham. Move on to the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Yes, Mayor and Council. As a result of a recent Policing and Safe Communities Committee last Thursday, the committee is recommending for Council to consider a administrative report today from Staff Sergeant Imey for consideration of the annual performance plan. Recommended to place Staff Sergeant Imey 5.1 ahead of the CAO report.
Okay, thank you. Could I please have a motion to adopt the agenda as amended? Councillor Maceros.
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. I move to adopt the agenda as amended.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? All right, carried. We'll move on to 3.1, the regular council meeting minutes for March 10th. When somebody's ready, I'll have a motion, please. Councillor Bates.
Yes, I'll move the regular council meeting minutes of March 10th.
Okay, thank you. Any changes? All in favor? Okay, carried. And then 3.2, the agenda priorities meeting for March the 17th. Councillor Dunham. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor Barclay.
Thank you. All in favor? Right, carried. Thanks. Okay, we're now going to move into our public hearing. So I hereby declare the public hearing relating to bylaw 1732-2025 open. And just to give those in the gallery an overview of how the public hearing goes. First of all, Manager Shaw will introduce the bylaw to council. And then secondly, after he is finished, I will call to hear from anyone who supports the bylaw. And then third, I will ask for anyone who is here that opposes the bylaw to come forward and speak. And when you do come forward and speak, we need you to come up to the desk where Manager Shaw is and also state your name and whether you're an Innisfail resident or not. So welcome, Manager Shaw, and we'll let you carry on.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Today you are reviewing bylaw 1732-2025, which is an amendment to the Bella Vista Area Structure Plan. The current conditions within the Bella Vista subdivision, the subject land is currently vacant, unsubdivided from the parent parcel, and is not serviced. Land is owned as reserved for future development district. To develop the land, the developer would require amendments to the land use bylaw application, subdivision application to subdivide the 2 blocks, as well as a development permit application and building permit application. At this time, there have been no other applications have been received other than for an amendment to the area structure plan. The current conditions on the next slide, you see that we have 15 single detached dwellings, 6 duplex dwellings. Those lots which are subdivided, serviced, but are vacant include 15 single detached and 8 duplex lots. The proposed amendments, the landowner through Investec Consulting proposes to change the land use designation on 2.76 hectares or 6.83 acres of land within the area structure plan. Proposal is to change the land use designation from residential multifamily district to residential high density district or R4, and to amend the text within the area structure plan to reflect this. The area encompasses about 5.4% of the total developable area within the Bella Vista subdivision. Community Development Services views the proposed amendments as technical in nature because no other applications are included with this proposal. If we look at the next slide, the key differences you can see between the R3 and the R4. So detached dwellings are a permitted use within the R4. In terms of discretionary uses, you also have mixed-use development, plus you also have multiple housing development. Key difference between the two is for an apartment, it can be up to 6 stories versus 44 feet within the R3 district. And basically, it would be similar to the R3 district without those exceptions. So what's proposed to change? The title of Section 1.3 is changed to 2025 Amendment from Definition of Plan Area. The wording within the section is amended to the following due to continued changes in market conditions and the need for more affordable product types in that town. This amendment is intended to update the overall concept for the Bella Vista plan area to include residential high-density district, the R4 district referenced before, and this district allows for increased density and increased housing options to create a more diverse range of housing types in the plan area. And then also the numbering is changed to reflect that. So the summary that you have before you here basically outlines the proposed changes to this area structure plan. Okay. Okay, next one. So what is going to happen? Table 2, for example, the reference to residential high-density district, R4, replaces what would have been the residential multifamily district. In Table 3, you see that there are some changes shown there. The existing Table 3 is shown on the top. The proposed changes to Table 3 are showing on the bottom. So your density ranges from 11 to 36 dwelling units per acre, possibly 75 to 246 dwelling units. Average household size is 2.3, and population could be 172 to 566. So total population could range between 1,443 and 1,837. And then continuing on, the wording within section 3.3 residential is changed by amending the last sentence to identify the number of dwelling units per net developable acres to change from 5.26 development units per net developable acre to 9.21 and to 11.72 development units per net developable acre. In terms of community notification, public hearing notices were sent to the following landowners within and adjacent to the Bella Vista subdivision lands. Landowners in Red Deer County were also contacted for those who were adjacent to the parent parcel. Administration received one written response from the public to the notice of public hearing circulation. That response is outlined a little bit later. Public hearing notices were advertised in the March 4th, 11th, and 18th editions of the Albertan, as well as on the town's website, and notification complied with the Municipal Government Act and municipal policy. So we received one written response from the public when this presentation was prepared. The landowner objected for the following reasons. Would have never built in Bella Vista subdivision if there was a chance of an apartment building directly behind them. This takes away from their privacy and view. There was supposed to be a green space and walking path and maybe townhouses or duplexes behind their residence one day. There are many areas in Innisfil that should be focused on instead of this. The other phases of Bella Vista should be built before construction starts beyond. Abandoned apartment near 48th Street, the eyesore fourplexes near the police station, and this will only hinder any other builds in Bowman Way. High-density apartment-style houses should be built closer to amenities like a grocery store, medical, and general needs, as it will likely be filled with elderly, disabled, younger generations, and low income. The area is not close to any amenities for these people and should be strongly be considered. So in looking at the comments, the 2015 Development Concept Plan showed multifamily development located south and southwest of the single detached dwellings located within the Bowman Way cul-de-sac and other unnamed streets. The 42nd Street right-of-way is 30 meters or 100 feet wide. There's also a 7-meter or 23 feet wide PUL existing and contemplating along the north side of 42nd Street. As well, there's a 15-meter or 50-foot municipal reserve buffer strip to be located to the west and south of the single detached dwellings that has not been subdivided but is shown in the development concept plan. There is no development proposal included with this amendment. Given the rate of build out in the Bella Vista subdivision, it could certainly be years before these blocks are developed. 2 blocks of highway commercial land consisting of 1.62 hectares or 4 acres are located east of the subject blocks and have been subdivided but have not yet been developed. So in summary, Community Development Services deems this application to be a technical amendment to the Bella Vista Area Structure Plan. The landowner proposes to change the land use shown in Figure 4 of the Area Structure Plan for 2 blocks of unsubdivided land from residential multifamily to residential high density, as well as some of the tables and wording within the document. The change itself enables increased densities on these blocks, representing 5.4% of the developable area within the Bella Vista subdivision. So if approved, the amendment will increase the percentage of multi-unit dwelling units from 16% to between 12 to 31% of the total number of dwelling units within the Bella Vista subdivision. As indicated before, there have been no other applications received with this amendment. Administration supports the proposed amendments because, 1, it aligns with the municipal development plan in achieving a balanced mix of housing choices. It encourages medium to higher density housing towards neighborhood centers and along neighborhood corridors. And finally, it achieves council's strategic goal of striving for more diverse, affordable, and accessible housing. Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Right, thank you, Manager Shaw. So we'll move into the next section. Is there anybody who wishes to speak in favor of this bylaw? Please come forward. Welcome.
Hello.
Okay, please just introduce yourself and
Yeah, my name is Jackson Kostyk. I'm from Invistech Consulting. I'll be presenting the Bella Vista Area Structure Plan Amendment on behalf of the landowner Creation Communities. The Bella Vista Area Structure Plan is located along the town's western boundary and is bounded by Red Deer County to the north and west, Highway 54 to the east, and agricultural land within the town to the south. The Bella Vista ASP was originally adopted in 2008 as the Henday Ridge Area Structure Plan. It was amended in 2015 and renamed as the Bella Vista ASP. This application, known as bylaw number 1732-2025, proposes an amendment to the Bella Vista ASP to change 2 sites currently designated as R3 Residential Multifamily District to R4 Residential High Density District. To facilitate this change, amendments to Figure 4, Table 2, Table 3, and Section 3.3 and 3.3.4 text are required. The 2 subject sites are located on the south boundary of the Bella Vista ASP along a future collector road. This slide shows the proposed amendment to Figure 4 development concept. This application is not proposing to change the road network or land uses for any other sites within the ASP, and there are currently no developments planned for the subject sites. Table 2, Land Use Statistics, Table 3, Residential Units and Population, and Section 3.3 and 3.3.4 text were all updated to reflect the change in title from R3 Residential Multifamily District to R4 Residential High Density District. The density unit count and population projections in Table 3 were further updated to reflect the land use bylaw density range for the R4 district and the most recent census numbers for average household size. These changes resulted in density changing from 16 units per acre to a range of 11 to 36 units per acre, the number of units changing from 109 to a range of 75 to 246, projected population changing from 261 to a range of 172 to 566, and the average household size reduced from 2.4 to 2.3 based on Statistics Canada information. There are three primary objectives resulting from the proposed amendments. First, the change from R3 to R4 modernizes the ASP as market conditions have evolved and brings it into alignment with the town's draft municipal development plan update. At the time of the 2015 ASP amendment, R3 was the highest density district in the town. The location of the subject sites is appropriate for a higher density district like R4, as it is located along a collector road and adjacent to a future commercial site. The MDP identifies this commercial site and a portion of the subject sites as a neighborhood center/node. The change to R4 further aligns with Section 3.4 residential land use policies in the MDP of accommodating a balanced mix of housing choices and encouraging medium to higher density housing along neighborhood corridors. Second, the province of Alberta has experienced high population growth over the last few years, reducing housing affordability. The R4 district will allow more units to be built at a lower price point, increasing affordability for Innisfail residents. The town's 2023 housing needs assessment identifies affordable housing as one of the three significant areas of housing need. Lastly, the R4 district will increase housing diversity, which is a key residential objective in the draft NDP. According to the town's housing needs assessment, 70% of homes in Innisfail are single, detached, and semi-detached dwellings, and the proportion of apartments has decreased since 2006. Increasing housing diversity will lead to more affordable housing options and provide residents and newcomers to the town with greater housing choice. Thank you, Mayor and Councillors, for the opportunity to present the proposed amendments to the Bella Vista ASP, and thank you to administration for your time and effort on this application.
All right, thank you, Jackson. Is there anybody else that would like to come forward in favor of this bylaw change? I don't see any. Okay, then I'll ask if there's anyone who would like to come forward who opposes this bylaw change. Welcome. Just please state your name and
I'm Audrey Jeske, and I live in Bella Vista. And I just have a few questions. If they're going to put this lower housing and stuff like that, and where are the playgrounds and stuff like that going to be out there? There's none now, and there's small children out there. And the other question I have is, when I purchased there, we were promised, I think it's where the commercial was going to be, and I'm not sure of the map, but it was where the commercial was, and we purchased there because commercial was supposed to go in there. And I'm a senior, and I'm thinking about, you know, down the road, I want mobility, and I wanted this kind of stuff close by so that I didn't have to drive if for some reason I lost my driver's license, right? And is this, by putting these low-cost housing, is that going to bring our property values down? Just questions I have, that's
yeah,
all.
No, for sure. Thank you, Audrey. Maybe I'm going to put Manager Shaw on the spot, and maybe we can bring the map back up, Juanita, just so we can look at the neighborhood again. There we go. Oops. So, Manager Shaw, do you want to speak to the different areas, the green space and the commercial as well? Thank you.
So, Mayor and Council, as you can see in red there, you have the commercial block. Now that block has been subdivided into two parcels, one a 1 acre parcel and one 3 acres. It's proposed for like highway commercial type of activities, including like a convenience store, gas bar, those types of things. And then to your left-hand side, you would see those blocks there, and that's intended to be the multi-unit development. Now, that could include anything from an apartment building to townhomes, to duplexes, to mixed use. So what the R4 district does allow for is a multitude of different housing typologies. So at this point, there's no set type of development contemplated for those blocks. It's more a matter that these are the areas that the landowner would like to see be changed from R3 to R4 to be able to accommodate different types of housing development on those 2 blocks in the future.
Right now, there's the signs out there that says lots for sale, and they have the barcode on them. And people have tried, if they have friends that want to move into the area, they've tried to get access to find out how much these lots are for sale, and there's nothing, you can't get through, nothing to it. So another question I have is, who's going to be the builder then? If it's going to be the same builder that was out there before that's disappeared, or somebody
Yeah.
new now?
Well, I guess Manager Shaw, I'll let you answer. My understanding is there's nothing planned. It's just a matter of changing the land use right now to accommodate a different type of zoning, but there's no permits or I don't think any thought of construction that we're aware of at this point in
No,
time.
Mayor and Council, there are no development proposals, but we'll certainly communicate to the landowner the fact that there's no connection on their QR code.
There is none. So, and more than one person has mentioned that to me,
Yeah,
so.
no, thank you for bringing that up. And Manager Shaw, but you can also have single family as well, right? In this area, if you wanted, or not at all?
So, Mayor and
Because it
Council,
says
future
show home.
land uses within the Bella Vista area structure plan shows single family. And so you see the area that is highlighted in yellow is single family residential. The areas that are highlighted in a more brownish type of color are multi-unit, such as duplexes, or also for like row housing, that type of thing. So medium density type of development. And at this point, there is no indication of future development happening within Bella Vista in terms of beyond phase 1.
And then Manager Shaw, also to Audrey's question about, if there was townhomes or an apartment building or something and potentially more people, there's municipal reserve there, but would there be, I guess with a development permit, an opportunity to look at playground?
So Mayor and Council, you see in the diagram, there's like a red dot there. So that would be a community amenity. So it might be a centralized park for people within the subdivision. And then on the far end of the page there, you see a green rectangle. That is for possibly a future school site in combination with other landowners.
Okay.
And how will this affect property values out there?
At this point, it won't affect property values because there's nothing proposed. There's no construction activity contemplated on these 2 blocks. It's basically to allow them flexibility in the future should a developer come along and want to develop the properties. It increases the housing typology available beyond what the R3 provides.
And even if there is development, Audrey, I mean, the town always has, I would say, some control as far as architectural guidelines and that kind of thing. And I worry when I hear people concerned about an apartment building. We haven't had an apartment building built in this town, I think, since, like a rental apartment building, probably since about 1980. So, we're 45 years in, and we have a lot of people in this community that are looking for a place to live. We have a lot of employers that are trying to attract people to work here. We're losing a lot of people to other communities because we do not have the housing, and not everybody can afford the $400,000 plus houses, of course. So we're really trying to solve some of our housing lack of diversity, I guess, in a lot of this. So that's kind of where I think administration is coming from, and what we've been looking at as a council as well. So we're certainly not out to reduce anybody's property value, and I have an apartment building in my neighborhood. I don't think it reduces my property value at all. It's just
I know
another
there's
place
lots
for
of
people to
people
live.
Yeah, there's lots of people from Calgary and Edmonton looking this way to move
There
because
is.
it's just getting too big, right?
Yeah, no, there is, and lots of young people too that are looking to move into their first home, and they can't, to be honest with you, so we lose them to other communities that are close by because they have more housing options, and that's a concern for us, because it impacts our employers in town. But I appreciate your comments today, and I hope your questions were answered.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. Is there anybody else that would like to speak against the proposed bylaw? Okay. Welcome. Just turn the microphone on and state your name, please.
Hi, Lauren Givok here, resident of Bella Vista as well. I'm just wondering, you were talking about communication and notices going out and it being very publicized, but I just found out and I didn't get any mail at all with the notices that were sent out. Luckily, I had a neighbor tell me about it. So I'm just wondering if you're planning on sending more notices, or I've talked to a few other neighbors who also didn't receive that notice, so I'm just wondering if there's more communication going to come out about this.
Don't know, I would have to pass that back to administration because they, Manager Shaw went through the notifications that did go out. If you just want to go through that again, Manager Shaw, find that slide. There it is.
So, Mayor and Council, as I indicated, we had sent notices to landowners within and adjacent to the Bella Vista subdivision, including within town and Red Deer County. And I guess we're just using our system in terms of generating mailings for that. And then also we had the public hearing notices advertised in the newspaper as well as on our website. So if there was someone missed, then we'll need to check our GIS system as to why they were missed.
Okay, so you'll update the list, or?
Okay, I'll talk to you after. Okay. Anything else?
I don't know if this is a question, but maybe you can help me with some clarity because I am new here.
Oh, that's okay.
And I am new to the neighborhood as well.
Okay.
So I'm just concerned because Bella Vista, as I'm sure you already know, is not fully developed, right? It's partially. Even the home I bought is very partially put together. And I know certain things such as the pond, right, needs irrigation and flow and movement. And I know that's been brought up in the past as well. So one of my concerns is, would Bella Vista be fully functioning and, let's say, better configured and put together and fixed up before anything new begins?
Yep, that I don't know. Again, I keep going back to administration and looking
Sorry.
at them because, well, I don't.
Like, and there's no park, and there's children that it would have to cross the highway in that neighborhood to get, you know what I mean? Just little
Well,
things like that.
Yeah, and we did, just so you know, like we did put we asked for the speed limit to be reduced along there. So in order to do that, we had to put a new paved trail along 42nd Street across 54, and then also crossings that Director Kennedy could speak to with and you know, I would hope that it will continue to be built out, and some of the things that we have heard about are being rectified or have been. I would have to ask administration to speak to that because we as council don't speak directly with Bella Vista, but I know there's been some discussions. If anybody wants to.
I'll also thank you for the crosswalk, though. I was really impressed when I saw that being built.
I guess the development will build out. Essentially, we don't have control over pushing
the next phases or the timeline of that, or how quickly the other housing lots get built in the neighborhood. That's based on the demand or as they're sold to additional or to new residents. If you do have concerns about the maintenance of the green space, like the space around the storm pond or even the vacant lots, by all means, you can submit complaints or that information, and our appropriate departments will look after that.
Okay, so to be continued, I guess?
Yeah, so it is a process as
Okay.
these new neighborhoods develop, as, you know, as roads are expanded, those types of things, so.
So the best way of doing that, Director Jenkins, is that just through front desk and it
Yeah,
will go into the system?
Yeah, through
Yeah.
front reception,
Yeah.
you can do it, and yeah, it'll get directed to appropriate departments depending on the nature of the comment.
Yeah. And I know there's been some discussion before around the pond, I believe, last year and stuff, so, yeah.
Okay, thank you,
Okay,
Speaker.
no, well, thanks for coming and thanks for your comments, appreciate it. Is there anyone else that would like to speak against?
Is it on?
It's on, yeah, it's
Okay.
on, Candace.
Candace Hughes. I'm neutral. The only thing I wanted to say, can we pop the map back on there? So as probably the only pedestrian in the room, so I cross right where that pond is, Highway 54, and you guys have that wonderful crosswalk that lights up at night. I did file a report with the Innisfil website because it's working on one side, not the other side. So again, my only concern with all of this is if they're going to have a green space where there's a park, and then the apartment buildings, I forget what the red is, commercial? That area right there, crossing at that crosswalk, there's times I'm having to run across. Because even if the lights are flashing, people are speeding right through it. So that's, that's the only thing I wanted to add.
Well, I'm sure that's noted with people in our room, so, gallery. Thank you, Candace. Okay, anybody else would like to come forward? Okay, is there any further comments from administration? Okay, any comments from council? Any questions for administration? No? Okay, if not, then I will accept a motion then, please, to close the public hearing. Councillor Hystad.
I'll make the motion to close the public hearing.
Thank you. All in favor? Okay, carried. And then later in the agenda, we'll be addressing the motions down in 8.1, if you'd like to stay. In the meantime, we shall move on to our delegation. Welcome Staff Sergeant Imey to come up and deliver a report to us. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. So just a few things for me. As you'll see on the board there, the Innisfail Policing and Safety Survey went out over this winter. There was less engagement than there was last year, probably about half or slightly half. We discussed that at the meeting, and possibly a little bit of survey fatigue on the hands of citizens, not just from the town, but just in general. Everybody's doing a survey for everything. So we came up with some good ideas for next year to increase the engagement outside of using surveys to try to get some more data points kind of moving forward. But the big things from the survey of what we saw pretty much lined up with what we had for priorities for last year. Really, one of the big overarching themes is that people just wanted to see the police more. So they wanted to see more patrols. They wanted to see more patrols at night. They wanted us more events at the schools, all that kind of stuff. So between visibility, crime reduction, and traffic safety, those are really the three main themes that shone through the survey. And they're probably the three things that I hear about the most, and I'm sure for all the things you guys hear about policing, it's probably those three things as well too. So in discussing it with the policing committee, they were in agreement that the priorities as we had for last year should remain the same for this year. And there was no real other priorities that were brought forward from the committee, and I also agree with the three pending town council's approval. From that, we can go to the next one there, thanks. So from those three priorities, so we listed those three priorities above, and then we looked at the initiatives that we would be working on for our proactive initiatives that we do through the town and throughout the county. For the most part, about 80% of our time is spent just reacting to calls for service and for investigating of crime. And so these things kind of fall to the extra 20% of time that we have to deal with proactive stuff. So most of these initiatives that we have are very similar to what they were last year. We found that we had fairly good engagement from the community on things that we were doing, and for the most part, people just wanted to see more of the things we were doing. So for visibility of the police, it's attendance and participation in community events. This year, we attended well over 100 community events, and we plan to continue doing the same. Town hall meetings, which those that go to them are appreciative of them. Some of the attendance has been relatively low, but to me, that generally means that people are somewhat satisfied, at least. Positive youth ticketing. Not all of these apply to the town, some of them to the rural community. So rural school visits. So as you guys know, we have a full-time school resource officer in the school campus here. He is only used within the town of Innisfail, and so I've assigned as a part-time basis some of my other officers to do a little bit of school presence at the rural schools. The one thing that we're adding or proposing to add this year is increased online communication. So we definitely heard through the survey definitely a theme of just wanting to hear what was going on, what the police were doing, and what we were looking for and that kind of stuff. So the detachment now has a Facebook page. And so our proposal is to do an increased amount of online communication, just showing what we're doing, and then for requests for assistance from the community as well. Related to crime reduction, we still have the initiatives of habitual offender checks and habitual crime property checks, which is something I believe should always be on our APP, because these are the people that keep us busy and make the community less safe. The Foot Patrol initiative that we've been doing for the last few years has been well received, and so we propose to continue doing that. The two next one, dedicated proactive patrols in the rural community and in Innisfail. This is written a little bit differently, and it's nothing new per se. It's just a matter for me to track what we're doing. A lot of the surveys said things like, I don't see police cars driving. And I'm like, well, I can show you the kilometers that we put on those cars, and I assure you they're driving around. So it's mostly this is just a mechanism for us tracking how much we're doing within the town and how much within the county. And then this year we also started targeted enforcement of people with warrants. We did our last one a few weeks ago. It went very, very well. And so we're proposing to keep that for next year. And then the other thing that we always hear from people, either love it or hate it, is traffic safety initiatives. So those are staying the same with high visibility traffic operations in town here and in the county, and then just provincial traffic violations on top of that. So the committee was in agreement with all of those and figured that they were the direction that we should be taking, and just pending any other advice or suggestions from Mayor and Council.
All right, thank you very much, Staff Sergeant Imey. Does anybody have any questions? Don't see any, so we will have a motion. If you can just scroll down a little bit, we need to the priorities. So we'll just have a motion that we identify these three items as our the priorities for 2025. Councillor Wing.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. I would move that council, based on the results of the survey, identify the following as priorities for 2025 relative to the Innisfail Policing and Safe Community Committee. Number 1, police and community relations, visibility of the police. Number 2, crime reduction, property and drug crime. And number 3, traffic safety.
All right, thank you. Anything further? No? Okay, all in favor? All right, carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we will now move into our CEO report with CEO Becker.
Thanks, Mayor Barkley. CEO report is submitted for your review. If there's any questions regarding the report or anything else operationally, I'd be happy to answer your questions.
Does anybody have any questions on our CEO report? If not, I'll have them.
I think was this the plan, right? No, not the report. I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry,
It's okay.
Mayor Barkley.
That's all right.
Okay. Make the motion to accept.
Okay, sure. Okay, any questions? All in favor? All right, carried, thanks. And we will move into council action control 5.2. Councillor Heistat?
Your Worship, when I read it today, I saw a field trip in there in February. Am I right? We did, I don't recall a field trip going somewhere. Did we do it? Self-guided field trip.
That was the Fuse Consulting and the self-guided education for
Yeah,
Napoleon Lake area.
With the signage.
Well, the kits.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not signage, just the kits, and we left it with administration to contact the schools.
Okay,
And then
all
get
right.
back to
I
us
just
on
wanted
that.
to update. Thanks.
We went on a trip, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
We left you out.
I think I've been
Just
on my
kidding.
own trip right now, so thanks, everybody.
It's okay. Can I please have a motion to accept the council action control? Councillor Dunham.
Mayor Barkley, I'll make that motion that we accept.
All right, all in favor? Carried. All right, we will move on to 6.1 with Director Kennedy and a water truck purchase.
Thanks, Mayor Barkley. So, yeah, we did a RFQ for a water truck. So our old unit is a 97 GMC 3-ton water truck. It's been used across all of our departments, a very well-used unit, but it is very high in maintenance right now and in hours. So we did the RFQ through the Canoe Procurement Group, as well as posted it on our town website. As well, we actually emailed our 3 local dealerships as well, just to keep them aware of vehicles that we are having out for RFQ. Closed on the 27th of February, where we only received 2 submissions. Of the 2, one did provide us 2 options. So as you can see, AutoSource Canada provided 2 options, a 2024 F-750 as well as a 2025 F-750. And then Metro Ford provided a quote as well for 2025. The above prices don't include GST. Did a reference in regards to our fleet management policy, where our strategy for heavy-duty vehicles is a 20-year life, or depending on the maintenance costs for replacement. So based on the price and meeting the requirements that we were looking for, it is our recommendation to purchase the 2024 F-750 water truck for the purchase price of $169,000, as well as including a budget of $5,000 for the additional accessories that need to be put onto that unit. This is within the budget of a $175 and to be funded from the Fleet Capital Reserve.
Okay, thank you, Director Kennedy. Is it new, the 24?
It is a brand-new
Yeah,
unit.
okay, yeah. Just have somebody please make the motion as recommended. Councillor Maceros.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. I'll move that council approves the purchase of one 2024 Ford F-750 water truck from the AutoSource Inc. for the total price of $169,000 to be funded from the Fleet Capital Reserve.
Right, thank you. Councillor Bates, you have a question?
Yes, through your wish. Just, I don't have a strong feeling, but I know some people do that maintain and operate fleets. The only difference being option 1, option 2 is a diesel versus a gas. And I mean, the 1 year doesn't make a lot of difference when it comes to this type of vehicle, as far as it's a 25 versus a 24, but I assume somebody in your group has evaluated the diesel versus the gas and come up with, the diesel would obviously exceed the budget, but
Yeah.
just curious.
Yep, nope, based on our mechanics looking at this, as well as our fleet manager, the gas unit meets the needs of what we need for it. The diesel unit was, over our budget, as well as more unit than what we felt we needed, so the gas unit fit what we needed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, can I just ask you, Director Kennedy, like going through Canoe procurement, like how does that work with as versus a PC?
Yep.
Or is it all the same process or?
It's a very similar process. What the Canoe Group does is they vet the suppliers that are within, so it gives us a little more security in regards to the companies that are within that procurement group.
No, thank you.
Can I get a
Councillor
question?
Heistat? Yeah.
To Director Kennedy. So with the Canoe Group, they they do our vetting for us as well, like when we're looking for those products? That's what I understood with them coming on.
It's more the companies that they vet out, so
Yeah.
they do an RFQ within their procurement group, making sure that they can meet the requirements of their quality. And what it is it provides us with a list of companies that we can then go to directly with our specification. They don't vet our specifications. We provide that specification to the companies that are within the procurement group.
Okay, no, that's good for us to know. Thank you.
So we don't have to put it on APC?
So we don't have to.
We don't have to?
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Yep, but we can. It's
Yeah,
it's always
no.
up to us, and this is why we did go to our local dealers.
Okay, no, for sure. Thank you for that. All right, so we have a motion for the truck. All in favor? All right, carried. Thank you. And then we'll go to 6.2 next, so public space maintenance policy.
Yep. So one more, just in regards to an update to our public space maintenance policy. Previously was in 2020, so we did do a review and update of that policy. Purpose of the policy is to establish guidelines, set priorities, and assign service levels for maintenance of the parks, playgrounds, sports fields, and other outdoor recreational facilities that we maintain. Really minor updates combined. We expanded the service level descriptions within the policy to include more detail of the type of areas, work required, and as well as identifying a little clearer the frequency. This did remove the need for a Schedule B that was in the old policy. As well, we did combine our level 3 and level 4s in the old policy. These are areas that we felt that we were monitoring and maintaining at the same frequency regardless, so there was no need to separate them. As well as we updated the Schedule 4, which is a descriptive area of, or description of the work areas, and providing updated service level types. Overall, we really didn't change the service levels, but have made an update to closely reflect the services being provided. So there was a bunch of areas that we felt weren't being identified within the policy, so we did add those. So we're just looking for any council feedback.
Sure. All right, thank you. Could I please have someone make the recommended motion? Councillor Heistek.
I'll make that recommended motion that council approve the public space maintenance policy 2025-001 and repeal the public space maintenance policy 2020-005.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions about this? Councillor Wing.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley, and through to Director Kennedy. Just because we've just come through our public hearing, and I'm curious, I understand that this is referring to public space. I get that. I understand that what the definition is. But what happens when you have an undeveloped community amenity area that's been designated? Is it our responsibility, the town, to keep it maintained and keep the grass cut, et cetera, keep the water going in that pond? Or is that the responsibility of the landowner?
So, maybe if you could provide, maybe on the Bella Vista subdivision, is that what you're referring to? So, in regards to that pond and that amenity, there's a 2-year maintenance put on that developer. At that time, then he is maintaining, or that individual is maintaining that park space. At that time, after the 2-year period, we do a maintenance review and then take over that. So now we are actually responsible for that amenity, so. So
that's where we are now.
Yep.
Councillor Bates, go ahead.
Yeah, I just have a comment, and it refers to the tree canopy. It's just observation, and I don't know that there's anything we can or should be doing about it, but as I look at the trees around the entire area, the old growth poplars are certainly aging out, and a lot of the areas don't have any saplings or anything coming up to replace them. It just seems to be whatever Mother Nature has decided to do there. And so, yeah, as they age out, I think we're gonna start to see some of them not look as good. And again, I don't have a recommendation. I don't want to be going in the middle of the natural forested area and trying to plant trees, but just take a look at them yourselves as you, there's certain areas where there's definitely saplings and it's happening, but I would say more not than what is. And You just see the old growth poplars and some underbrush. You don't see. So as they go, and I see that on the golf course too. I mean, I'm a regular user of that, but a good portion of it is the same. Just an observation. Thank you.
To Councilor Bates, I can provide a little bit of feedback on that. So we are looking at our tree planting plan to look at a more broad area and looking at our nature areas as well to try and do an assessment and put some type of strategy together as part of our asset management. That's one of our targets as well. So trying to identify those, it's been identified in the past, so we are bringing forward some more information.
Director Kennedy, I'm curious, going to Centennial Park, the big town sign in Centennial Park, like, is that something that your team would review and take a look at it and say it maybe needs an upgrade and?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, all right. Fair enough.
Yeah, to Mayor Bartley, so we were approached last year by a member, I believe, associated with the Rotary Club in regards to doing an update and possibly providing some options in regards to that. Otherwise, yeah, if it gets to a point where we feel it needs to be, that'd be something we would bring forward to council.
Yeah, I think the big sign is the towns, the big sign, and the other signs like around the cookhouse and up top are rotaries. I believe that's how that works, but it looks a little tattered. So anyway. Okay, so we have a motion to approve this new policy. All in favor? All right, carried. Thank you. And then next, Director Kennedy is the South Red Deer Regional Wastewater Commission.
Thanks, Mayor
penalty
Barkley. So
waiver.
one more, last one for me anyway. So we were provided a draft of the drought management strategy provided by the Mount View Regional Water Services Commission. So upon review, we did notice that the updated strategy included 3 levels. Within level 1, though, there were 3 subsections, or sorry, 4 levels, and within level 1, there was 3 levels. The town bylaw 1686/2022 does cover majority of that through our mandatory conservation requirements. Administration could look at updating that to match or leave as is and only enforce the strategies that are required, but we did a review of that, and other than really some timings, we cover a lot of that within our mandatory water conservation bylaw already. The second area, in order to enforce levels 2 to 4, it is administration's recommendation to update the utility bylaw to include a blanket section that would state the CAO or designate may impose further restrictions to water consumption as identified by the drought management strategy. As well, we would look to, in regards to restriction notices, would have to be distributed through the usual media in order to give a 24-hour notice in order to make those enforceable. Really, other than that, we are looking just for some feedback from council in regards to the strategy proposed by the Mount View Regional.
All right, thank you, Director Kennedy. So I think I'll just open it up for some feedback to begin with. And does anybody on council have any feedback on this? I guess I have a question. Obviously, you know, what they're proposing is a little bit different as far as their restrictions, watering times, and so ours are going to supersede those. Ours, you can't water between noon and 7, where theirs is you cannot water until 8 p.m. at night. So we will leave ours in place, just so I understand all this. We'll leave ours in place, and then
Yep, that's the feedback we're looking for, is
Yeah.
if council's good with that,
Yeah.
then that's what we would
Okay.
look to do.
And what about industrial users, Director Kennedy? You know, again, kind of getting into the different levels under the drought management strategy from Mountain View. Is that, if they, I know we were almost there last summer, right, where there was some discussion around that. So as is, we leave it the way it is. What happens now if there's drought issues again, they come along and say, no, you need to cut water off or reduce substantially. We have big industrial users in this community. What happens at that point in time?
Right now, it's, the way it's written in the policy is we would go and try and get compliance. We really don't have an enforcement component to our utility bylaw to penalize or, so we would look to just get really community buy-in and go towards to meet the requirements of their strategy as identified. Becomes more of an ask than it is an enforcement. So that's why we are looking to either update it to make it, give us a little bit more flexibility in regards to enforcement.
I guess my concern is, and, you know, thinking the different members on the regional system is, you know, the industrial users, the heavy water users here that need it for their processes and to run their business. And, you know, you have another community that doesn't necessarily have that significant industrial base. So, you know, it impacts us a lot more than it may impact somebody else. And is there leeway there where our industrial users would continue to be able to operate?
Right. I think one of the things that would be, I guess, one of the things to keep in mind is we are significantly less than what our allocation is.
Okay.
So right now, every municipality within the commission is allocated a set amount based on our projections. All of the communities are significantly lower than that, I believe, is one of the report results that we've been given. When they provide us direction, they will provide us that allocation and restriction. So from there, we would have to then go back and figure out what that means.
Okay.
So it really isn't laid out within the strategy exactly who it's going to affect directly.
Okay, I'll pass it on to Councillor Bates. This is his area.
So just to speak to it a bit, at being on the commission board, I was probably the chief driver that that led to, no, I didn't do this, that led to this revision, which I think addresses things in a lot of good ways. So the commission did ultimately meet with the City of Red Deer and the North Commission and came up with an alignment finally. The alignment is less restrictive than what it used to be. It was pretty much, there weren't those 3 stages, so it was, you went from what you're doing to some severe restrictions. It makes me feel good that we are aligned with those other bodies now. And when we actually looked at this to get to the concerns that you were just now expressing, when we got to level 3, which maybe we could scroll to that, we did, in our own little commission, deviate a little bit from what the others were doing. So level 3, the recommendation, if you go down a little further. So where it says the following non-residential uses, that used to say, before we got a hold of it last week, that they would be not permitted. And we jointly said, no, we'd like to have that be limited/reduced to give range for discussion, which is just what Director Kennedy expressed, that you would go and ask some of the users to try and conserve as much as they can, but we wouldn't shut them off. And the 4 that are there, it's different with our different communities. We're probably the biggest industrial. Others do have bulk water sales that are more significant than ours. The only bulk water sales that I'm aware of are through the co-op. And some of those end up going to ag and to various usages. And so again, it would be, it's definitely relaxed from what the recommendation that did come back to more of a discussion. And yeah, so I feel good about it as a board member that we've achieved something that's a good guideline. And again, we are able to we are able to draft our own thing and have our own, you could have an emergency declaration and do whatever you want at some point. But I think this does give us more flexibility to signal to people that we need to conserve and not take a heavy hand and shut them off. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Bates. I appreciate that and have 100% confidence in you kind of driving this discussion with Mountain View Regional, so thanks.
Well, and I think at the end of the day, if we ever encounter severe drought, which I don't think any of us have experienced yet, then, yeah, we might go places we've never been before.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
yeah, and it's not looking horrible this year, but we don't know until the spring rains come and that sort of thing, so, thank you.
Okay, no, thank you. Okay, any further discussion? If not, I'll please have someone make the recommended motion. Well, I guess we did provide feedback, but, so you're,
I'm not sure that we shouldn't, I'd be prepared, I guess, to make a motion that we actually provide feedback that says we are in agreement,
Yeah.
in agreement with their guideline.
yeah, I
So
agree with that.
Could I craft that motion to state that? I move that we provide feedback to the commission that we are in agreement with their guidelines.
Yeah, and I would maybe add to that, Councillor Bates, that we're in agreement with their guidelines, and that administration will come back.
With proposed
council with
updates
the
to the
proposed update,
utility
yes.
bylaw 1686/23.
Okay, perfect, thank you. All in favor? All right, carried. Okay, so we'll move into the sevens now with Director Vickers, and favorite topic, tax bylaw.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. Yes, so once again, we have the 61st Avenue Special Tax Bylaw before Council for approval this year. So back in 2020, Council awarded the contract for the 61st Avenue improvements to Central City Asphalt. And at that time, Council directed administration to bring back a special tax bylaw in April of 2021 to recuperate 15% of just the paving portion of that cost. And the cost was to be broken out over 15 years, starting in 2021 and ending in 2035. So the paving portion was $587,000, and that was the amount that we included in the calculations for the special tax. So those are the different properties that are attached to it. So each of these properties have frontage on that street, and they're paying a proportionate amount based on the frontage that they have on each street. This bylaw does have to come back each year for approval, which is why it's here before you again this year. So the special tax bylaw will generate a total of just over $88,000 per year for the next 15 years, and that works out to $5,875.65 per year. So far, including 2025, they will have paid just over $29,000 with a remaining balance of $58,000 shown there. And all of our combined taxation assessment notices will be going out by mid-April 2025, which will have this special tax listed on the notice.
Okay, thank you, Director Vickers. Could I please have someone make the first motion? Councillor Dunham.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. I move the council accepts and gives 1734 2025 61st Avenue Special Tax Bylaw first reading.
Thank you. Does anybody have any comments? Councillor Maceros.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. Now that we've been through this a few times, I'm just wondering, Mayor Barkley through to Director Vickers, can you remind us why that special tax assessment came in the first place, and just a little bit of a review?
So the special tax, Mayor Barkley through to Councillor Mazeros, the special tax was just implemented to try and recoup a portion of the cost from those users. This is in the industrial area. It is a primarily separate area that is not going to be used by everyone else in the community. Therefore, a small portion should be borne by those users. It is only 15% of just the paving cost, so we're recouping $88,000 on an over $1 million road reconstruction.
Councillor Bates.
Yeah, in the history department. So what I remember basically, it was the paving was consulted with with the owners at the time. It was an improvement to their properties, which they purchased with just gravel roads. And there was acceptance at the time of this being it's a very small fraction of what the cost was. And yeah, as I look at it, I still feel it's appropriate to continue doing it, even though it is only a fraction, and no impetus to increase it. But I also don't feel that it should be borne by the rest of the tax base, that all of these lots' values have been increased by this paving, and the fact that the owners at the time were all in agreement. So I'm in favor of the bylaw.
Okay, well, I will do my annual against. I'm still not going to support this. Several things. I think we have so many municipalities around us right now that are offering tax incentives to business attraction and expansion, starting at zero taxes. So I think we also don't apply this philosophy to any other part of town. I know my little close was certainly the beneficiary of some much needed infrastructure work a couple of years ago, and not many people drive in the close, but you know, I didn't get a special tax levy, or nor did any other resident in that area. I also think with the new industrial park opened, there's a lot more traffic in that area than there once was, and I think paving these two, well, we've got the next one too on the 37th as well, but you know, that's been beneficial to the whole community and not just to businesses that operate on those two streets, and it's beneficial to us for business attraction. I know there's comments in the past about certain industry down there didn't even have people that wanted to come visit him at his business because it was such a mud hole down there. So I think it's really beneficial, and I really like us to apply fairness to our taxes. We have paved gravel roads in the past, and I'm old enough to know that there was a lot of gravel roads in this town at one time, and we've never applied I don't think, a special tax bylaw. So I don't support this. I wish we would just apply fairness. I think right now, having done some recent businesses, there's a lot of uncertainty around the tariffs, and you know, we've been through COVID. We're now in this tariff stuff, and there's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of confusion about what might be coming forward. So I will be voting against, but as you know, should just press the recording button, right? Okay, Councillor Heistat.
Your Worship, to, I guess, to council, this is always the history lesson, and we've gone, it's the same, you know, back and forth, but I don't think anybody opposed previously, right? From just you, but the landowners, they never opposed. They were all in favor of it, correct?
My perception is not necessarily happy, but they agreed to it. How's that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, and that's where I'm coming from. I think where I stand, and I don't think I know. I stand with Councillor Bates on this one. I think it's helped that area. It's the, you know, and it has helped future industrial come in. As to the process, sometimes process can change. And this is part of the process that we developed, and it's going to be ongoing for a number of years. And I think this is a win for us, no matter what. So that's, I'm going to be voting in favor.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Bates.
Yeah, and just to speak, I don't believe it's unfair, because all of those lots were purchased in the old gravelled state. The landowners even had special say in how the curbs and gutters would be done, and they haven't been charged for any of that. This is all an improvement, and they've been charged a fraction. Yeah, if my street needs to have all of new water and sewer services, that's a maintenance function for the town. This was an improvement, and they've only been charged that 15% of the paving cost versus, so I think the numbers were 88,000 out of how much million? If you added the paving plus the curbs and gutters, and so it's a very small fraction. And at this point, I mean, again, it was accepted. To reverse that would be downloading onto other taxpayers. Yeah, that's why I vote in favor of it.
No, fair enough, just my opinion, that's all. Okay, so we have a motion, all in favor? Okay, I'm opposed. We'll move on to the second reading, please. Councillor Wing.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. I move that council accepts and gives 1734, 2025 61st Avenue Special Tax Bylaw second reading.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, opposed. Then we'll go to the next one to give consideration to third reading. Councillor Bates.
Yes, I'll move that we give consideration for 1734, 2025 61st Avenue Special Tax Bylaw third reading.
Okay, all in favor? And I'll vote in favor so we don't hold it up for no reason at all. And then we'll move on to the third and final, please, Councillor Maceros.
I move that council accepts and gives 1734-2025 61st Avenue Special Tax Bylaw third and final reading.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? And opposed. Okay, so carried. Thank you. And we will move on to the next special tax bylaw, 1733, 2025.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. So as is with 61st Avenue, 37th Street is a special tax bylaw. In 2021, 37th Street reconstruction, was completed by Central City Asphalt. In July of 21, council directed administration to bring back a special tax bylaw in 2022 when that tax mill rate bylaw came to recoup 15% of the paving cost. And again, it would be broken out over 15 years, starting in 22, ending in 2036. So the paving portion for this project was just over $500,000 with $500,455, and 15% of that was calculated to be $75,068.25, bringing it to just over $5,000 annually to be collected through this bylaw. So again, they are collecting $75,000. They've collected, including 25, just over $20,000 so far. So they still have a remaining balance of $55,000. And again, all tax notices will go out mid-April of 25.
Okay, thank you, Director Vickers. Could I please have someone make the first motion? Councillor Wing.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. I move that council accepts and gives 1733-2025 37th Street Special Tax Bylaw first reading.
Okay, thank you. Director Kennedy, I know I always bug you about this, but the piece of road down in front of Bilton said it's not paved.
Yeah, it was actually slated to be paved this year, but we've taken that off, so it'll be looking at next year.
Okay, reason?
Originally, we were looking at the long-term strategy, and we needed a section of water line to be upgraded. We've further looked at that strategy, and it's further down the road than what we anticipated, so we looked at paving the section because it needs to be paved.
Okay, okay, no, thank you. Okay, so we have a motion, all in favor? Okay, opposed. The second reading, please, Councillor Hystad.
The council accepts and gives number 1733-2025 37th Street Special Tax Bylaw second reading.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried. And then gives consideration for third reading, Councillor Dunham.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. I move that council gives consideration for 1733-2025 37th Street Special Tax Bylaw third reading.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? All right, and then third and final, Councillor Maceros.
I move that council accepts and gives 1733-2025 37th Street Special Tax Bylaw third and final reading.
All right, thank you. All in favor? And opposed? All right.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Barkley. So we have received a request from the South Red Deer Regional Wastewater Commission, or we'll just refer to it to the SRD going forward, for the waiver of penalties related to the emergency storage pond lease payment. So the town of Innisfil entered into a lease agreement with the SRD back on August 19th of 2022 for the development of the emergency storage pond. This agreement included an annual lease payment of $1 over a 99-year term, with an initial one-time compensation of $94,500 to the town. The lease agreement stated that the commission will reimburse the town for land reclamation and improvement costs incurred before the construction of the emergency storage pond. It was set at $18,750 per acre with a total compensation cap of $94,500 payable upon lease execution. So we signed the lease, like I said, on August 19th. There was an administrative error and the lease got filed and we didn't actually invoice them. So when we realized this, we sent the lease out on November 2nd of 2023. They did not pay the invoice until August 22nd of 2024. So this lapse in payment did create some penalties owing. The total amount owing as of that date was $71,499.86. The SRD has now submitted their request to the town and asking the town waive those penalties that have accrued on the reimbursement amount invoice. So due to the nature of the relationship between the SRD and the town, administration is looking for council's directions on how to proceed with this request. We do have a couple of different options for council to consider. One is you can just waive all the penalties in its entirety. You can deny the request and require the SRD to pay the penalties as stipulated in our rates and fees bylaw. You can approve any type of partial waiver that council sees appropriate, or you could request more information about the whole process prior to making a decision.
Okay, thank you, Director Vickers. I will ask for feedback, please. Councillor Bates.
So I look forward to discussion, but my initial inclination would be to waive the penalties because of the steps that occurred and the fact that we are finally going ahead with the proper solution. And I guess I would ask the question, I realize we put penalties on all kinds of things, but our actual financial impact to us would have only been interest that we might have made if they had paid on time. Would that be our only?
Mayor
Because
Barkley.
we didn't do anything different with the land and have to do something different with it.
That's correct. Mayor Barkley through to Councillor Bates. This is just interest that we wouldn't have received originally
But that
had
wouldn't.
they paid on time.
That wouldn't, how much, do you have any idea what that would have calculated out?
Well, if they would have paid on time, there would have been zero.
No, but the interest
Oh.
certainly wouldn't have been 70-some thousand on, it would have been whatever, 3 or 4% or whatever we can invest.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd have to,
The penalties have accumulated because we double, whatever the,
yes, it is 5% per month on all outstanding balances.
Right.
They are now just incurring penalties on penalties
Yeah.
at this point.
so it's a big penalty.
Yes.
Like I said, the actual financial harm to us wouldn't have been anywhere near what the penalty has amounted to. Anyway, I look forward to hearing from others.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Wing.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley, and through to Director Vickers. I'm sorry if I missed this, but did we start calculating the penalty from the day the lease was signed or from a year and a bit later when we actually sent the invoice?
Mayor Barkley through to Councillor Wing. So the first time they received a penalty was in January of '24. So it was sent out on November 2nd. So the first penalty came in January. So they almost had 60 days to make payment.
Right, but they weren't, okay, but we're not calculating a penalty effective August the 19th. It was from when the invoice was.
No, it's from January of '24 is when penalties started accruing
Got it.
for this invoice.
Thank you.
Magic of compounding.
Yes.
Councillor Bates, would you like to make a motion, or does anybody else have any feedback? Councillor Maceros?
Yeah, sorry. Thank you, Mayor Barkley. So are you, just to reiterate, Director Vickers, are you saying that between November 2nd, 2023 and August 22nd, 2024, there was $70,000 worth of fines that were accrued?
Mayor Barkley through to Councilor Mazzaro. So they started receiving interest in January of '24. The first interest payment or penalty amount was $4,900. So the next month was $5,200. The next month was $5,400. So this $71,000 is from January 2024 to today. This is what is
Okay.
actively on their account right now for penalties. So since October
Oh, I see.
of 2024, they're still generating interest just on interest.
I see.
And now it's gone down to their August interest payment was $7,000, and then it went down to $3,200 the next month. So you can see kind of, that's when you can see they paid that big chunk.
Yeah, and just so people know, we've been a little bit late at times paying them, just I think with mail and when invoices come in and payment goes out and people pick up the mail at the other end. So does anybody want to make a motion? Councillor Hystad?
No, I just, Your Worship, can I comment on it?
Sure, you
Yeah, I think that we have a relationship with SRD, and, there's a lot of moving parts here that I think that both parties would admit that, we're not perfect, and I think that just allowing this to be waived would be the right thing to do as a partner. And at the end of the day, we'd bear any costs that they have coming back, any costs. I'll make the motion that we waive the outstanding interest to the SRD. How's that?
Perfect, thank you. Any further comments? All in favor? All right, carried. And next, we will go to 7.4, the Affordable Housing Ministerial Order.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Barkley. So I do have a bit of more information regarding the Affordable Housing Ministerial Order that came out recently. We did bring this to council back in February. We did present a report on the ministerial order that we received, which comes into effect in 2025 for this taxation year. At that time, council did request some additional information on the rationale behind the provincial government's decision and potential impact on renters. So the Alberta government introduced property tax exemptions for affordable housing accommodations as part of their broader strategy to increase access to affordable housing and support vulnerable populations. So some of the key objectives behind this policy change are, so just obviously to address the housing crisis. Alberta, like much of Canada, is facing a housing affordability crisis, with rising costs making it increasingly difficult for low-income individuals and families to secure stable housing. By removing some of those municipal property tax on eligible housing properties, the government aims to lower operating costs for those housing providers, allowing them to maintain and expand affordable housing options. Two, they are looking to encourage nonprofit and private sector involvement. So this tax exemption reduces financial burdens on nonprofit organizations, housing providers, as well as municipal management bodies, making it more feasible for them to continue offering affordable rental rates. And lower costs could also incentivize further investments into affordable housing projects, encouraging more partnerships between government, nonprofits, and the private sector. This aligns with the provincial and federal housing strategies. So the National Housing Strategy aims to create sustainable long-term solutions for affordable housing across Canada. And it also complements existing government funding programs for affordable housing development and maintenance. So reducing some administrative barriers as well. Previously, nonprofit housing providers had to apply for property tax exemptions on a case-by-case basis, which can be time-consuming and inconsistent. So this automatic exemption does streamline administration, reducing bureaucracy and ensuring more predictability for housing providers. Also, there's some equality that they're trying to bring out. So since 2017, anything owned by Alberta social housing corporations has been automatically exempt from municipal taxation, and with a further expansion in 2022. This did leave a gap for other non-ASHC-owned affordable housing projects, which did remain taxable. So to ensure fairness, this new legislation now grants automatic property tax exemptions to all qualifying affordable housing accommodations, regardless of ownership history, while still allowing municipalities to pass that bylaw to continue if they choose. So the property tax exemptions for affordable housing accommodations primarily does benefit the housing provider, such as the nonprofit organization and housing management bodies, rather than individual homeowners or renters. However, the intended impact is to reduce operating costs for these providers, which could influence rental rates. So will lowers or do renters see lower rates? Not necessarily. While housing providers will no longer have to pay municipal property taxes, there is no legal requirement for them to pass these savings directly to tenants by reducing rent. Rent in affordable housing programs is not tied to property taxes. It's typically determined by a number of factors. Normally, these are income-based affordability guidelines, such as rent being capped at 30% of a tenant's gross income, or there could be fixed below-market rental rates as outlined in agreements between housing providers and government agencies, as well as long-term lease agreements, which may not immediately reflect reductions in operating costs. However, some of these housing providers may use these tax savings to stabilize or slow rent increases, especially in the face of rising costs for maintenance, insurance, and utilities. And in some cases, nonprofit providers may be required by funding agreements to reinvest savings into the housing program, but it doesn't necessarily mean direct rent reductions. So the impact on housing providers is the tax exemption off that. The key benefits to this is it does lower their operating costs, making it easier to keep rental units financially sustainable. They could potentially reinvest into housing stock, such as funding repairs, upgrading amenities, or expanding housing capacity, as well providing a bit of financial stability, reducing the risk of rent increases caused by rising operating expenses. While reducing the property taxes lowers one financial burden, housing providers still face other increasing costs such as building maintenance and repairs, insurance and liability costs, raising utility expenses, as well as staff and administrative costs. Some larger housing organizations may choose to bank the savings for future projects, while smaller nonprofits may struggle with other financial pressures that continue to limit their affordability. So homeowners in affordable housing units. So individual homeowners do not and will not receive a direct tax credit from this policy. So the exemption applies to nonprofits and affordable housing organizations, meaning standard homeowners will still have to pay property taxes. However, they can be part of some other affordable housing initiative, such as a rent-to-own program or a housing cooperative, where they could benefit from some other grant programs to reduce their taxes. So by implementing this exemption, the Alberta government seeks to improve housing affordability, encourage development, and support those most in need, while still giving municipalities flexibility in how they choose to manage local tax revenue. So the financial impacts section I didn't change from before. It is still the municipal tax portion that we would be losing this year is $8,809.64. And again, the Town of Innisfail strategic plan prioritizes affordable housing as a key component of building a robust and adaptable economy, recognizing that access to safe, stable, and affordable housing is essential for both economic growth and community well-being. So I'll take any questions that council may have.
All right, thank you, Director Vickers. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you for all the information, and just have somebody please make the motion. Councillor Wing.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. I would move that council direct administration to take no action and allow the property tax exemptions for affordable housing to take place for the 2025 taxation year.
Okay, thank you for discussion. Councillor Bates.
Yeah, just have one question, and thank you for doing all that work. So if we choose to do this, does this also exempt them from the education tax? I'm surprised the province would give us that.
So Mayor Barkley through to Councillor Bates. So they are now exempt from education property tax and the seniors lodge. So the only tax that they could ever possibly pay now is through the municipal property
Okay,
tax.
so that's all we're discussing.
Correct.
Thank you.
And we can choose to exempt it this year and do nothing, but in a future year, we can always bring back a bylaw at any time, at any future taxation year, and make them taxable again, so.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Director Vickers. And yeah, it's probably the right thing to do and apply tax fairness to everyone. So, okay, all in favor? Okay, carried. Thank you. And we'll move on to Director Jenkins, 8.1, or I guess Manager Shaw, sorry, 8.1, and the amendment to Bella Vista.
Mayor and Council, we are seeking to have second and third readings of Bylaw 1732-2025 to amend the Bella Vista Area Structure Plan as indicated in the public hearing session that we just had. So Community Development Services sees this amendment as an administrative type matter in that there are no development proposals associated with this amendment. What it does give is greater flexibility to the landowner to develop different typologies within these 2 blocks that are under consideration. So there would be a long way to go before we would see development happen on these 2 blocks. There's a lot of infrastructure that would have to be put in. And based on our earlier discussions with the landowner, there is no preference at this time to move forward with any type of development on the lands themselves. They simply seek an amendment that would allow for greater flexibility in the future and also aligning with our MDP and housing policy. So administration is recommending that council give second and third readings to this bylaw.
Okay, thank you, Manager Shaw. Could I please have someone make the recommended motion for second reading? Councillor Maceros.
Thanks, Mayor Barkley. I'll move that council grants second reading to bylaw number 1732, 2025, to amend the Bella Vista Area Structure Plan.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion?
I've got a couple of questions. Okay, yeah, the first question, Manager Shaw, is this a unique situation where you would get an application like this that you're calling a technical application because there's nothing further in the line or down the pipe? Is this an unusual kind of application?
Through the chair to Councillor Maceros, it's not a unique type of application. Area structure plans can have amendments to them. It can be fairly extensive amendments. It could be minor amendments. In this case, what the applicant is trying to do is to change text within the area structure plan document and to give direction to these 2 specific properties, which at this point have not been subdivided from the parent quarter section, nor have they been rezoned to a desirable land use district. So it's not unique, but it's the type of amendment that could set up for future development happening within these 2 blocks.
Okay, thank you. And one more question. Can we go back to the letter from the citizen? And I think what I understand from you, I just want to make sure that we really understand the answer to this one piece of feedback, and that is that the worry is that there would be an apartment building directly behind those homes. But now looking at the map, my understanding is that that is not the case.
Through the chair to Councillor Maceros. So as you can see, the 2 blocks at the bottom of the property there, Bowman Way is the cul-de-sac directly above those 2 properties. So you have the 42nd Street extension, which is developed as a 30-meter right-of-way, and then you also have a 7-meter PUL plus municipal reserve, as shown in that green line area behind or to the west of Bowman Way. So there would be enough physical separation between the 2 land uses, and as well, for apartment buildings, you do need to be set back from the front yard. So through either like visual type of development that would help to screen that area, it should assist in buffering their view. Now, this land was zoned for multi-unit residential, or not zoned, but designated for multi-unit residential in the 2015 plan. So it's not a surprise that you're going to have multi-unit development. This is what the MDP directs us to do, is to have it along major collector roadways and at areas within the subdivision that would accommodate this type of use. Around Bowman Way, you have a mixture of land uses, which includes single detached as well as medium density. And in this case, you're going to have a higher density type of development.
Okay, thank you, Manager Shaw.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Hystad?
Yeah, Your Worship. Just speaking to the letter on 48th Street and some of the comments in regards to people. It's all about affordability. We came in, we had a strategic plan that we wanted to make sure that there was an offer for everyone to have affordable homes in our community. I think that's, I would like to say that those comments from myself and I think council at the time and currently we still believe in that. As to growing up on 48th Street, that road has changed substantially in the last 40 years with multi-use units, where you had homes that were 70 years old, 80 years old, that actually were not unkept, and somebody came in and cleaned them up and had a multi-use home on 48th Street, and actually it's a fit. And I can just say that living in this community for almost 40 years, it's change is good, and sometimes it takes the time. And hopefully we can, have a nice new develop there one day, but it's not going to be tomorrow. Yeah. So those are my comments.
Great, thank you. Councillor Wing?
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. I just have just a couple of thoughts, actually. And coming off of all of the work that we've done in the last couple of years on the municipal development plan, I mean, if we don't move forward with this now, MPC is going to have to deal with it in a couple of years because the plans don't align. And we knew when we adopted the municipal development plan that would happen. And so this is kind of a bit of housekeeping work that we need to do as we move forward. I do appreciate Manager Shaw's comments around this particular amendment bringing that area structure plan into compliance, because one of the comments that we had made earlier or a couple of weeks ago was, big plans go, onto shelves to die, and so we don't want that to happen, and so this is a good example of that. And just, two thoughts. How can we encourage Bella Vista to become a more appealing and saleable place? I appreciate that this is not our land, this is not our development. We don't get input until a developer comes to us with a permit request, but we do have community amenity property in there. We do have families that are living in there. I've expressed my concern before, and I'll just make that my last comment now. Reducing the speed on Highway 54 was lovely, but we're going to increase the density on the east side of Highway 54 with Napoleon South. We are going to hopefully see this increase the density in Bella Vista, as well as we know we have anticipated increased traffic with the expanded industrial areas. So I don't want this part of town to be lost, because I think it's really important, and I know it's important to the people that live in it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Dunham?
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. Just to follow up a little bit on my own thoughts, along with my fellow councillors, is that, looking in there, one of the things that really stood out to me is that just because we're trying to have more affordable housing built doesn't mean that it's low-income housing, and that we're not necessarily going to be attracting the type of people that people generally associate with low income. We've talked about increase our density, and the town has been doing a really good job, and we've been trying to push forward with getting more housing on that continuum, and we can't do it alone. So if Bella Vista, if this is aligning with our new MVP, then I support it, and I don't think anyone wants to see a 6-story building in their backyard. And as you've mentioned, there is no plan for that, and there would have to be an application made and a review made before that, and obviously there would be public hearings open to the public, the people that live there, adjacent properties, and the town in general, to give feedback on any proposal. Just for the fact alone that we're aligning, I will support this. And yeah, like I said, it's understandable. We live in a neighborhood and we want to see what's best for it. you know, we always are concerned about our property values, but a community that is not developing anymore and is just being bare land isn't increasing anybody's property value either. So to try and advance what's happening in that community, obviously, the owners of it need to look forward and need to look at another way to try and get more people into that community. Those are just my thoughts.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Dunham. Yeah, I'm supportive of this, and I don't see a huge change. It was already, as Manager Shaw mentioned, R3 when this subdivision was done, so it's not changing immensely. And you know, we know how important having more affordable housing is right now, because we really don't have much in this community for that. And like I said before, there's so many people that are not purchasing or not living here because there's nothing for them. And to get feedback from business owners all the time that they need places for their employers to live. And that's how we grow, and that's how we, you know, hopefully attract more young people to our community and young families. So anybody else have any comments? If not, we have a second reading on the table. I'll call the motion. All in favor? Carried. And then I'll please have someone make the next motion for third reading. Councillor Wing.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. I would move that council grant third reading to bylaw 1732-2025 to amend the Bella Vista Area Structure Plan.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments? All in favor? Okay, carried. Thank you. And then we will move on to 8.2, and now Director Jenkins with Public Art and Placemaking.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. So we're looking to present the Public Art and Placemaking Framework to Council for approval today. Since 2022, we've been exploring ways for the town to support a public art policy. In early 2024, we engaged Evoke Culture to develop the public art framework and provide strategic direction. The final product being this framework that's before you today. In January 2025, Council received this draft as information. Since that time, the draft has been made available on the town's involveinnisfail.ca website with all individuals that participated in any of the public engagement sessions being invited and informed of that. It has gone out publicly through our social media channels, but those participants were directly contacted. So the framework identifies vision, guiding principles, and policy statement. We did have some feedback that the vision statement could be more forward-looking. If there's appetite to look at that, that was one comment that was received. The plan goes on to establish 5 priority strategy areas and a detailed implementation plan and timeline. So at this point, it maps out activities for the next 5 years. Implementing the plan will require substantial increase in focus and resources. Approval of the framework will also include the identified Year 1 budget and associated staff costs to support the completion of the outlined tasks in 2026. So we are looking for approval of the plan today. However, current budget and capacity does not necessarily allow us to move forward with the Year 1 activities immediately. So we are looking for approval of a plan, and then in the fall we will be bringing those Year 1 budget numbers that would allow us to establish the part-time coordinator position, as well as that Year 1 $20,000 to go towards the project work. And so, if there are any questions, so we did receive 2 comments on the on our public engagement. One being from the art club as a collective. Their feedback was very, very positive. I won't read the whole thing, but Innisfail Art Club enthusiastically supports the draft public art and placemaking, provides a clear plan and broad strokes for the future of public art in our community, appears to address the unique multicultural community, and it's exciting to include local groups and artisans. So very positive feedback sort of provided by the art club as a group. And then we did also receive the one other comment that questioned whether the vision could be reworded to be more forward-looking, where the current vision statement states to create a town where public art and placemaking inspire creativity, inclusivity, and sustainability while celebrating Innisfail's cultural heritage. So I guess at this time, we're looking for any feedback from council. Otherwise, we're looking to approve the framework as presented with implementation to commence in 2026 following appropriate budget approvals.
Okay, thank you, Director Jenkins. So question on the vision. Are you, like, I'm just wondering, are we to change that? And if so, would it be and sustainability celebrating Innisfail, period? Or?
And I guess that's up
where
to
to
council if we want to rework it. I feel that it is forward-looking, and then it sort of
Yeah.
makes the
Yeah.
nod to, and we're also looking,
Which
you know,
we
we're
kinda
not
like
forgetting the
too.
past.
Yeah.
But again, when our feedback pool is quite narrow, it's
So
hard
but
to-
this was a vision statement that came out of the
Yeah, the public
stuff.
consultation, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so, okay, I think it'll be fine, because we had the input, so let's not change it. I wasn't sure what you were getting at there, so I'll please have someone make the recommended motion.
Thanks, Mayor Barkley. I move the council approves the public art and placemaking framework as presented with the implementation to commence in 2026, subject to appropriate approvals in the 2026 operating budget.
All right, thank you. Any comments? All in favor? Oh, do you have a comment, Councillor Bates?
Yeah, just, of course I have a comment. No, no, I think it's evolved for a long time, and this is fine. I do believe that going forward, it does represent a significant investment when you get to year 5. Or I think it's over a 5-year period, but obviously you're putting a lot of trust in the committee that will be working on it and figuring out how to spend it, and future councils will be able to look at it and see it. If they see problems, they can deal with it. So I support it.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? All in favor? Okay, carried. Thank you. Thanks, Director Jenkins.
All right.
And we'll now go on to 8.3 Napoleon South.
So just an update and a checkpoint for council if there's questions, keeping council up to date on activities regarding the Napoleon Lake South property development. So we did, so at the last regular council meeting, lot pricing, design guidelines, and the lot draw format was approved. Last Wednesday on March 19th, we had a lunch event for local builders and realtors to better understand the project. It was well attended. We had about 18 individuals attend for lunch. The builders that were in attendance all were very positive and appeared to be quite serious in terms of moving forward and participating in the lot draw, so that was positive. The project tender was posted last week and will close on April 2nd. The lot draw being scheduled for April 10th at the LLC. We continue to refine the expense projections for the project, so the tender will feed into that. We are working with Alberta Transportation with respect to upgrades that have been flagged through the transportation assessment that will require additional lighting and a northbound right turn lane at Highway 54 and 42nd. So those estimates are currently being included in our projections, and we may come to council to determine if that's completely funded by this project or if there's cost sharing to the balance of the community for those costs. But we will be meeting with Alberta Transportation as soon as we can to determine any cost sharing as well as the timeline. So the TIA for the development indicates that these would need to be done sort of at build out. So whether it needs to be a 2025 project or if it can be pushed into further years as the project builds out. In addition, so April 14th is what we're currently targeting, when we'll come back to council for that motion to approve the infrastructure contract, which we will have the lot draw results for council on that date as well. So that's sort of the big last decision-making opportunity. The subdivision approval will be presented to MPC next week on the April 1st meeting. And yeah, if people are looking for information, that involved.innisfail.ca has all the lot pricing, the registration, any information that someone might need.
Right. Thank you, Director Jenkins. Does anybody have any questions? I was at a chamber event in Red Deer sometime last week in the evening, and somebody had been to the event, and they spoke very, very highly of it. So, yeah, it was excellent remarks from him. Okay. Anyway, just have somebody please make the recommended motion. Councillor Heisted.
That council accept this report as information.
Thank you. All in favor? Okay, carried. And we'll move into correspondence and information. You can see all the property tax information, education tax information, I should say, from Municipal Affairs. So that's interesting to take a look at. I'll just have somebody make a motion that we accept the correspondence as information, please. Councillor Bates.
Yeah, also move.
Okay, does anybody have any questions about any of the correspondence? Okay, all in favor? Okay, carried, thank you. And then we'll go into council reports. Councillor Dunham.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. My report is in there. Any other questions, let me know. I do have quite a few things coming up in the next week or so, and with next Monday, us not being in council, I have a CSSC meeting on Wednesday. Thursday, I have a Parkland Foundation meeting. Then Sunday, I head up to Edmonton for the Asia Conference. I'll be there until Tuesday afternoon, at which point I'll be coming back down and hopefully be able to make the community grant workshop. And then on Wednesday, I have the age-friendly committee meeting.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Wing.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. My report is included in the package, and I do have a Parkland Library Executive Committee meeting this Thursday, but other than that, I don't have anything else to tell you.
Okay, thanks. Nothing out of RD Mug? Nothing?
Nothing significant. We've been working on bylaws. So we had a special meeting and did some work with bylaws, and the work has gone back to committee for a bit more. But I did mention this before, the bylaws for all the years that RDR Mug has been in existence have they were filed at the beginning and then amended, but never filed and never. So we've done a full compilation on the bylaws, and so, yeah, good work is happening. We did have a presentation on the irrigation district that's out in the east, and some work that they want to do around some water facilities, and Arley continues to be on the agenda. So.
Okay, thank you. Anything around coal mining? No. Okay, all right. Councillor Bates.
I don't really have anything in addition to the written report. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. And Councillor Maceras.
Thank you. I just have one revision to mine. The chamber meeting scheduled for last Thursday was canceled after I submitted my report. It's been rescheduled today. I think they're meeting right now. So
okay, well, sorry about that. Kept you overtime. Councillor Heisted.
Yeah, my report is up there. The only question I would have is in my calendar, I think we canceled the budget presentation, right? Was there a?
There's one coming up on April 1st at the senior center.
All right, so I had one in there and then it was deleted. Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. And my report is in here. I had a pretty significant CAPE board meeting last week, so some interesting information that came forward in that. But other than that, it's all there. Had the Central Alberta Mayor's Group here last week. kind of a light group, but Kelly Karalik presented from Community Futures. Also want to say congratulations to the Innisfail Eagles. I'm surprised nobody mentioned that today in the round table. How unusual. The bird jacket on,
Well, I
the bird hoodie on.
thought you guys were getting tired of me every week.
No. Yeah. Yeah, so congratulations to them for the win on Saturday. That's fantastic. And yeah, we'll move on to open mic. Nobody wants to come forward and say anything, which is fine. Okay, we'll move into upcoming events. We'll just have a,
Sorry. I've got a question about the Fish and Wildlife Banquet. Is that this weekend?
it's March 29th, yes.
Okay. Do we have a table or?
Well, Juanita sent emails out to everybody to see who wanted to go, so I'm not sure how many people ended up replying to that, but yeah. Okay. So I'll just have a motion, please, to accept the upcoming events as information. Councillor Fennell?
I'll make that motion, Mayor
Thank
Barclay.
you. All in favor? And then we'll have a motion to go in camera. Councillor Hystad.
Motion to go in camera.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Carried.